Okay, so let's get started. So we're talking about class and objects, right? And we said that, this is how we define a class. And you'll have members, right? We have different members. So we'll talk about, guys, can go on mute, please. Okay. So we'll talk about class, okay, called book. And my intention is to count how many object of books have I created. Okay, so I need to keep track of the number of books that we generate. Okay, so we'll have a variable called here book count or something, and I'll say book count equal to 0. So what happens is we need to increase the count of it, right? We need to somehow increase whenever object is created. Okay, we need to increase the count of it, right? So I'm going to say def book initialized or something, or book created, okay, better. Book created, and yes, so self, when I put bracket open and close, PyCharm is automatically putting self here, right? So I'll tell you what's the meaning of self. And now what I'll do, I'm going to increase the count. Now, it needs to know, okay, so see, there are, so we discussed that function, class can have 3 or 2 members, right? Class can have 2 members. First member is object level, then you have class level, and then you have normal variables, okay? So variables, which, the way we have been using so far. Okay, we've been using like in a function, we declare, we put a variable and that is not accessible outside. We saw the scope of a variable, right? A couple of days back. Scope means that's how the life of variable is, right? So we'll have a variable which is like normal variable, which will have a life within this function. Okay, so we are basically writing a function, right? We are writing a method here. So we'll use normal variables, okay, which will have life within this function, okay? And then your object level and class level will have life beyond. Okay, that's the purpose. That's the main, usage of variables and functions. They will have life beyond, okay? So let's see, okay, how we define these 3 members, okay? So, okay, so first thing is book count, and I said book count since we have written outside any function just after the class. Okay, that means this is a class level variable. Class level variable. Now, that means if you declare a global variable for this class, right? This is like a global variable for this class. This becomes automatically class level. Every object will be able to call this. Okay, now coming to this self, okay, now it need not be self, you can put anything, okay, you can put ABCD, you can put your name, whatever, right? But international practice is to put self, okay, so that's why we put self, and I would recommend it to put self, but for Python doesn't matter, okay, you can put ABC, XYZ, doesn't matter what you put, but what it indicates is that it's a object level method. So you put your own set of word here, and inside you have to use same set. So if I have used self, I will use self. If I use ABC, I will use ABC inside. Now, whenever I say ABC dot something, okay, ABC dot something, it means I'm declaring it as a object level variable. Okay. Now, if I put a normal variable, so this is like normal variable. Normal variable, neither your class level nor your object level. Okay, it's a normal variable that we've been using, right? And the scope of this variable sum will be within this function. Sum is keyword, so let's not put sum, let's use something different. Okay, so the life of this total will be within this, but life of this will be beyond this class. We can use outside the class. Like when we talk about our names, right? When it's like Apple, right? You can use Apple everywhere, anywhere, right? If you go to Mars also, you can use Apple, right? But that's the reference, okay? Because that's a class. So, okay, as I said here, it need not be self. You can put anything, but self is the international practice. Everybody puts self. So, it's easy to understand when you see self. Oh, okay, it's object level, self object level. But for Python, it doesn't matter. Okay, you can put anything. So when I say anything here, and then I'll be using anything dot to indicate that's an object level. So this becomes object level. Okay. Now, how do I access class level? Now, this is the object level method, correct? So I have to call it differently. Okay. I have to call it differently. How do I call it? I will use the class name. Then I will say dot book count equal to book count plus 1. That's how I increase the count, correct? So I'm calling class level variable. So we have seen 3 types of variables so far. Class level, object level. I'm not assigning any value. We'll assign it later, let's say. And this is a normal variable that we've been using. So all the 3 types of variable we have seen. So when you see a variable name referencing with class name dot, it is class level variable. When you see self dot, it's an object level. Nothing, just the variable name. It's a normal variable which will have a scope within that function only. You can't use it outside the function. Okay, so this is how we create class level, object level, and normal variables. Okay, okay. So we'll
Swapnil,
come
I
back.
have a question.
Sorry.
Uh, I
Yes.
have a question.
Go
I
ahead.
have a clarification rather. So the difference between the object level variable versus the normal variable,
Mhm.
uh, I was just trying to understand. So both
Okay, if I
are
ask you,
accessible.
okay, so I ask you, what's the capital of US?
Okay, Washington,
Washington. If I ask Jacqueline,
DC. Yeah,
if I ask you,
it will
Jacqueline,
be the same.
it will be the same, right? So that is an class level. The value doesn't change. Okay, it's fixed. Now, if I ask you, what's your name, right? And if I ask Jacqueline, what's her name, will it be same? No. So it's like
Yeah.
public property versus private property. What is specific to you as an individual is object level. Because if I consider this whole world as a class, we are all object of the class. So properties which are specific to me, what's my name, where do I stay, what do I eat? These are very personal to me. So these are your object level, right? And if something which is common, which everybody has the same answer, right? Now, if I create 10 objects and we'll see, we'll do that and see. So did you understand what I'm trying to say? So something which is common for all the object, right? Now, for a minute, we consider that the color of apple is only red. There is no green apple. Then it doesn't matter whether you pick Washington apple, you put Fiji apple, you take Indian apple. All of them will be red in color. Correct?
So Swapnil, if I understood correctly, right? So this total, which is in the line 6, that's a normal variable, right? That
Correct.
can be accessed
You can't access outside the function.
outside the class.
Function.
Oh, okay.
Class
Oh,
is a bigger level, right? I'm saying you can't even access outside the function. So
oh,
obviously you
okay.
can't access outside the class, right? This function is inside the class,
Correct. So what I
right?
thought that can be accessed by a different method,
No,
but
no.
no, that also. So it will be the same as the object level, right?
No, so this is like, this is like to use within this. Okay. See, we've been doing function so far, right? How we've been doing function? We say def func1, okay, something, okay, let's say a comma b, and you say dot equal to a plus b. Now, what is dot?
Yep.
Dot is used here only, right?
A variable. Yeah.
Right? And then you return dot,
Return.
right? So this dot has scope only within this. This is, you're using this to work within this function, right? And after that, you don't, because whatever is returning, that value, and here I'm going to read it like something else. Out equal to func1, 5, 10. Right? So is tot used beyond the function? No. It is used for working within the function. You can, have 10 references of tot within the function. But outside the function, nobody knows.
Yeah.
Right? Remember, we did one example where we put global variable and local variable. This is local variable to this function. So
Sure.
this is something like, let's say, your own stuff. Something like, let's say, your purse. Okay, nobody in the family will probably have access to it. So you are using for yourself only. Okay, so this is like a family. Okay, this is like a family, and these are different members of family. Right? So there will be few things which are common for yourself, some things which are common for your family, and there's something common for public. Okay, you might put some drinking water outside your home for public. Like everybody, you made it public so that everybody can use it. But something which is inside your TV, only you can use it or family members can use it. But your wallet, probably only you can use it. So that's the level of visibility that you are giving. So total, okay, is only for this function, just like what we've been doing so far. Okay, nobody knows who total is outside this function. But these and these people will know outside. And they have different meaning as we go, I will see. But then you can access outside your, your own stuff. But again, there are difference between these two, we will see. Right?
Sure.
But this is something which is just specific to you. Nobody knows
Correct.
you. Right? All the secrets that you have in your brain, in your mind, okay, only you
It
know.
will become okay.
Nobody else
Okay.
knows your secrets, right? So this is a secret. You use it for doing your own stuff, and then you say, okay, fine, I'm done. But this you can't hide. I mean, you can hide to an extent, okay? They have different different level of hiding. Okay. So yes, we'll see how to use them. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Sounds
Right. Okay. So yes, so we were talking about using different levels of access, right? So these are your different variables. These are your different variables. So this is your title, this is your total, and this is your class level, right? Now, I'm going to delete this, okay? Not required, right? Okay. So now I need to create object. I need to create object of book. How do I create object of book?
book dot.
No. The object name equal to class name.
Okay.
Object name equal to class name. And in class name, okay, you put the bracket here, right? So that's how you create object of class book. So B1 is object of your class book, right? Now you see, okay, now to create B1, okay, I need, okay, so book one is the object, it will be created. If you want to do the type, you can see print type of B1. So see, it says class, okay. Now see, remember here, it says class, if you again remember when I do list, okay, so what do you get? Print type of L1. Okay, so you get class list. Is it not similar to what we did? So it says class book. But what is this main dot? What does it indicate?
The main class or something.
Yeah, it means where is your class, correct? Main means it is in same file, the file that you are using, right? It is in same class, okay? I'm using this file P18, right? It means it is in P18. Okay, if I were using Inbuilt, okay. If there is no mention, that means I'm using inbuilt class. If the class was in different file, then it have got a different file name here. Okay, main, we did that, right? If name equal to main, name equal to
Yeah.
main means you are executing the same file. So this class is
Within the
in
same file.
same file that you are running. I'm running P18 here, you see, it is in P18 only. That's what it indicates. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So now I need to call this book created, right? So book created is your object level, right? So I'm going to say B1 dot book created. Okay. So book created doesn't print anything, but okay, if you want, you can print some value, let's say. So I'm going to say print total book now available equal to, and here I will say book class name dot variable name. So first I increase the count and now I'm printing it. So now when I call book created, you say total book now available equal to 1, right? B1. Now if I call B2, right? And I will say B2 dot book created. I call B2 dot book created. Now when you run it, you see it says available to, because
Total book now available is equal to
because the book, okay, you don't have to repeat after me. Okay, if you have questions, you ask me. So now what happened? The book count increased by 1. So it was 1 before, right? After this step, it was 1. Now it became 2 when I called B2. Okay. Now let's say I want to give title of the book. So whenever you create, okay, whenever you create a function, you can pass parameter. So let's say I want to pass title here, and I'm going to say this title equal to this title. Are these variables same? Title and
That's
this title,
object
are they
level.
same?
No, that's the value and
Yes,
this is the
no.
variable.
Answer is no. They
No,
are
no,
not same. Correct? This is your normal variable. This is your object level variable.
object and normal.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Don't
Sorry.
repeat after me, Roshni. Okay, it creates disturbance. You have question, you can ask me. Don't repeat what I'm saying. Okay. Or you can go on mute and repeat then. Then nobody will get disturbed. Okay. So you have book 1. Okay. Now here when I call, I'll get error. Why? Because book created is expecting 1 parameter. You see, we don't have to pass value for ABC or self, right? But for every other parameter, we have to pass value. So book created is expecting 1 value here. So what is that value? The title of the book. So I say title of the book is, let's say, Python programming. And here I'll say title of the book is SQL programming. Okay, great. So it is working fine. Now you see, okay, I'm going to call it. Now I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to say print B1 dot, okay, book count. Book count, okay, is here, and I can call B1 dot book count. I can call B2 dot book count, and I can call book dot book count. Book is the class name. So if I run, all these 3 values are giving me same answers. You see, 2. I'm going to say printing book count. Okay. So it's like asking the capital of US, right? Everybody will say same answer. Okay, because it's a class level. Now let me print the title. Print printing title. Now let's see. I will use same three values and I will say here title, 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 title. Okay. Now you run it and see what happens. Type object book has no attribute title. It's a class level, right? What we define title is at object level, right? It's a very specific to individual. I cannot say what is the name of people of US, right? No, each individual has a name. So there's no logic in asking global variable about name, right? So when you have class level, you can refer with both object name and the class name because it's a global variable, it's a class level variable. So both will give you same answer. But when it is the object level, then you can't refer class name dot. Okay. So this is wrong. This will not give you answer, right? So you get what is called as attribute error. Okay. Class will not have the title. Now what happens when we do B1 and B2? See, B1 is saying Python programming and B2 is saying SQL programming. Right? Because the name that we gave to the objects are different. It will maintain that relationship. B1, the program will never forget what you gave for B1. B1 Python programming. Okay, B2 SQL programming. Your individual name is A, your individual name is B, your individual name is individual to you, right? It's not global, it's not different. So it will maintain. This is what we call as object level. Okay, so this is your object level. Now I pass Python programming to B1. So whenever you refer B1, B1 will always give you Python programming because it's an object level variable. B2 will always give you SQL programming. Okay, but you see the book count, B1, B2 and book, all three gave us same value. Even though B1 was the first one to be created, but it has the latest value. Right? If the capital city is changed to some other city, everybody will come to know that you have changed it, isn't it? So when B1 was created, book count was 1. But now when B2 created, book count became 2. So B1 still remembers there is a book count. Make sense? Do you see the difference between class and object now?
And Swapnil, so instead of the title that you have not defined as a data type, right? It can be any data type, right?
We never define data type. What are you talking, Shiva? In Python, do we define data type?
No, no.
Then?
What I'm saying is it can take up any numbers as well, right? That's my question.
That's a normal Python property. Nothing to do with class and objects.
Yeah, sounds good.
Again, went back to basic question. Right? We don't define data type in Python.
Sure.
Whatever you give, it will take. You say A equal to 5 and you say A equal to hello. First A will be 5, then A will be hello. Right? So this is how we use class and separate, class and object, and they have a different purpose, different meaning. Okay. Now let's take another example here. I'm going to create third object called B3. Okay. So now I'll call 3. And what happens here? I'll call. Okay. Let me first call B title count. Then I'll call title. B3. What happened? B3 I called, but still what? It is 2 only. It should be 3, correct? Because that's a third member, isn't it? But why it is not 3?
Is because it has created only twice, like there are only 2.
We have not called
Yes.
book created. Book created
Book
method
created.
does all these things, right? adds the title, increase the count. So we have not created, okay, book created. That's why it is still taking old value 2. But logically, this is wrong, right? What if you forget? It's like, you know, baby is born and you forget to name your baby. So it's like, you know,
That's very tough. Yeah.
it
That's
can happen, right?
impossible, right?
No,
Yeah.
if you are absent-minded, it can happen. Right?
Yeah.
What do? You said, okay, hospital, please register it by default. Hospital will say, okay, before you forget, okay, we will do it for you. Right? So we have something called as init. Okay. You
Oh,
have,
that's what they do, Swapnil. Yeah. So before you discharge, you have to name the baby.
yeah, even here also, okay, it's compulsory for every hospitals to report. Right? How many babies are born, they have to report to the authorities. Because what if parents forget, right? So we have something called as init, okay, underscore, underscore, init, underscore, underscore. I told you underscore, underscore, something, underscore means it's a default, okay, it's a inbuilt, it has an inbuilt meaning, correct? It's not something that we have created. Underscore, underscore, something, underscore is inbuilt. It could be variable or function. Of course, this is a method here. Init, okay, what it does is init will initialize the variables automatically. You don't have to specifically call it. Okay. So what I'm saying is, I'll put it here, all the notes. Init underscore underscore, okay, will automatically called when object is created. Object is created. You don't have to call it. Now, earlier we had that method, right? Book created. So we have to specifically call book created. But what Python says is, if there are, there will be, okay, if, init is automatically called, you don't have to call it specifically, okay? Automatically, when will init get called? Here itself. The moment you say B1 equal to book, init is called. Okay, so you don't have to say B1 dot init. Automatically, it will be called. So it's saying all the initialization steps, okay, that's what init is short form for initialization. Everything that you want to do by default when object is created, okay, we'll put it by default to the hospital's response, by init responsibility. Okay, so in this case, you don't need book created, but init takes a parameter. So what happens? Okay, I have to give the value here. Okay, there is no book created, isn't it? Now, if you forget as a parent to give the name, hospital will not allow you to touch the baby until you give the name. Correct? You have to give, otherwise what happens? B1, B2 will work fine, but B3, okay, in it missing one required positional argument title. Required positional argument, this is required. So you are missing one required positional argument. So you have to give the value here. Now you can choose to give it blank, up to you, right? So now you see, okay, the count is automatically increased to 3, okay, because this is getting called 3 times. And then your B1 and B2 title, okay, you can add B3 title in this case. B3 title we give as blank, isn't it? So you will get blank only. This is blank, okay? Don't think there is no output. You can put some text here. This is B1 and this is B2. Okay, so we spoke about, okay, members of class, and then you have this one, which is accessing specific values, right? How do you access class level variable and how do you access object level variable? For class level variable, you can call object name dot or class name dot. Both are valid ways. But for object level, you have to call by object only, right? Color of apple is a class level variable. So it doesn't matter whether I say Indian apple or Fiji apple. But name is specific. So I cannot use class name. I have to call object name. And Python maintains that relationship. Then we discussed about init. Init is to initialize. Okay, by default, init will be called the moment you create an object automatically. So you don't have to call specially the init function. Automatically, it is called when the object is created. So the moment you say B1 equal to book, this init is called. B2 equal to book, init is called. So generally, everything that you want to initialize, okay, that we put it in init so that it is taken care of by itself. Is there something we have not discussed so far? We spoke about earlier, but we have not discussed so far. We discussed about object level variables, object level methods. We discussed about class level. So this is object level variable, right? Self dot. As I said, we should use self. Okay, it doesn't matter. Python doesn't restrict you to use self, but the practice, general practice is to use self. So we're going to use self. So this is your object level variable. This is your class level variable. This is your object level method because you have self here. This will be unique for every object. We have not discussed class level method, correct? Does this class have class level method? No. So how do you distinguish class level variable? So in the class, the variable will be written like this, or inside object, it will be written class name dot. Okay. So you know this is a class level variable. Okay. Object level variable will have self dot. So you know it's a object level variable. Object level method will have self as the first parameter. First parameter is self. So you know it is a object level method. Class level method. So method which are common for all the object. Okay. So you have to put an extra effort to do that. There's an extra step that you have to do. So you have to say @ class method. @ class method. This is compulsory. Okay. So this is to indicate that the very next line that I'm declaring the function or method is a class method. It's not a normal object method. It's a class level method. So you say def output. Okay. And see, by default, Python has put CLS. But again, you can use anything. This, you can use self also here. Okay, it doesn't matter. But then that's the practice. Okay, that's how the global practice says to use CLS. So you will use CLS. But again, just like self in the object level, we don't have to use same values. You can use our own values. But global practice is to use CLS. Okay, to indicate this is a class level. But you have to put class method. If you don't put class method, you get something like this, right? Object level. Now here, whatever you want to print as a global method or class level, right? You can put here. So this print, okay, I will not put it here and I'll put it in fact here. Okay. So now what happens? Okay. How do I call it? So this is a class level method. So you can call using object name or you can call class name. Okay. It's the same thing. Okay. So I'm going to say printing output. Now, since output is a class method, so you can call b1 dot output. You can call B2 dot output. You can call B3 dot output, or you can call book dot output. All will have same values. So see, all of them have same values. So this is how a class is written. This is how a class is used. We have discussed all the properties of class. We will take some examples and we'll do it. But this is how you define a class, you use a class.
Swapnil, can you go up a bit? And
Yes.
I just want to see how this class is defined.
Yeah.
As you, yeah, 13, yeah. Thank you, Swapnil.
Sure. So now we know how to do programming, right? Okay. So what I'll do,
Sorry, Swapnil, I have one question.
Yeah.
Did we use the number line total normal variable?
no, that was just to show you.
Okay.
No, we have not used it. That was just to show you.
Sounds good.
Okay. So let's take an example. Let's take, I'm thinking, okay, I want to use for doing some mathematical operation. Okay. So let's see this. I'm going to move them to different file. Okay, so I'm going to create a class called MathUp, or I'll call it my MathUp. Okay. And I'm going to initialize, let's say, variables. So def init, okay, self dot n1 equal to a, self dot n2 equal to b. Okay. Here I'm going to say a comma b. That means when you create, okay, this is called constructor, by the way, initialization. Okay. In C++, Java, we call it as constructor. In Python, we call it as init. Okay. So you have init where I'm defining two values, and I want to have another value, let's say self dot total. Okay, now self dot total, I don't want to put it here. Okay, I will put another function here, def. I'm saying add numbers. Add numbers. So self dot. Now I don't have to pass here. Okay, I'll simply say self dot total equal to self dot n1 plus self dot n2. Now see, this is a different function and this is a different function. This is a different method and this is a different method, right? Here we are passing a and b, so we're initializing to n1 and n2. But here you see, am I calling n1, n2? No, I'm directly using n1, n2. Because class will say these are my own, object will say these are own my value. Why should I call them? Right? To take my own back, should I need anybody else's permission? No. Object will say these are my own variables. So I should be able to call them anytime, every time. Why should I take somebody's permission? So there is no passing here. Okay. The value is available for this function. N1, N2 is available for this function. I can create another function. Okay. Subtract numbers. And I'm going to say self dot subtract equal to, or difference equal to, self dot n1 minus self dot n2. Okay, I can create another function. Okay, to now you see. No, okay. Okay, so now I will show you how to use the normal variable. So I'll create, okay, a function, generate prime, okay, or we'll do check prime for now. Check prime. Now here, what do you want to pass? You want to pass a new value or a existing value. So let me do self n1, right? Okay, so self n1 I don't have to pass, isn't it? Self n1 is available. I don't have to pass self l1. If you are doing some new value, then you have to give that as a local variable. Okay, so I want to check if n1 is prime or not. Check if n1 is prime or not, right? So I will say check prime equal to true. Okay, now see, check prime is a local. I'm not using this as a global or as a object level. For I in range, okay, see again I is a local variable. Self dot n1 divided by 2 plus 1, and we'll start from 2, not from 0, right? And we are saying if your value, right, self dot n1 modulo I equal to 0, okay, then we'll say check prime equal to false, right? And here you return check prime. Now I have to return check prime because check prime is not a local variable, not a object variable. But if you define this as check self dot, okay, in that case, I don't have to return it because it's available automatically, isn't it? I don't have to return it. Now I is a normal variable, self prime is check prime is object level. Now I'll create a member. I call member 1 of my math op. And when you call it, you have to, it's through error because the init takes 2 parameters. So I have to pass 2 parameters here. So I'm going to say 5, 10. Okay. Now you can print m1 dot n1, right? So m1 dot n1 will be 5, right? Now I have to call check prime, correct? So I'll say m1 dot check prime method. Now I can say print self dot check prime, not self. Self, this will not know what is self. Okay, m1 dot check prime. So m1 dot check prime 5 is true. Okay, so if I say 15 comma 100, let's say 15 comma 10. Okay, 15 is not a prime, right? You get false. So you don't have to pass the variables here or there. You can directly use them using self. You see a simple example.
In range, that self dot n1 divided by 2 plus 1.
You refer the day's video when we did prime numbers, you will understand. Okay. Any question here? Okay. So we'll stop here. I'm going to give you one assignment, okay, for library management. And Monday when we meet, we'll look at some properties of class and objects.